Hi, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. Thanks for joining me for another video beer review. This time you're looking at a bottle of Black Mountain, a hoppy black IPA, brewed at the Brains Craft Brewery in Cardiff. This is brewed in collaboration with three fellas who you're kind of seeing dotted around this little cartoony brew house. It's the guys from the Craft Beer channel on YouTube. This is a 5% ABV. Hoppy dark ale, black IPA, whatever you want to call it. Big thanks to Johnny over at Craft Beer Channel for sending me a couple of bottles of this to check out. So, fantastic presentation as always. You get this kind of little seal on it. I mean, all adds to the quality of the presentation. I'm fully in favour of that. I've only had, I think, 2 beers from this range. Obviously, the most notable one being the Barry Island IPA, which is available in a lot of kind of like supermarkets nationwide. I mean, you really kind of set off this little brewing endeavour from Brains, a large, probably the biggest brewery in Wales. So let's get this cracked open and see what we've got in the bottle. So when they were brewing this, Johnny was kind of aiming for something similar to, I think they looked at Point Brewery from America, their black ale or something. I know Johnny's a big fan of Widmer's black IPA. And also they were kind of like looking to keep the sweetness of something along the lines of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which has got a decent amount of residual sweetness. They did also talk about the kind of malts that went in here, which slightly confused me. I mean, a black IPA, primarily you try and extract as little malt character as possible. It's a lot of sparging the dark grains, using kind of specialty grains like Carafa. I think Carafa Special 2 or 3, I can't remember which it is, but yeah, you're all about kind of extracting colour without much flavour. Personally, I don't mind a black IPA which has got a bit of malt flavour to it. I mean, beers like Buxton's Black Rocks, and especially their Imperial Black, which obviously this is 5%, it's half the beer that is as far as ABV goes. But they were definitely going for something which does have a bit of malt character, so it's one of those things that I always think, styles as good as they are, and I love a style because it makes you know where you're aiming at. You mean, oh, I like black IPA, oh, that's a black IPA, I'll have that. It's kind of like when I used to read Maximum Rock and Roll, and I'd go in there and go, oh yeah, well, it's got this band sounds a bit like Jawbreaker, this band sounds a bit like No Effects, this band sounds a bit like the Mr. T Experience. You go, oh yeah, I like those bands, I'll check this band out as well. So styles are good, but sometimes beers don't quite fit into their designated styles. So, and I remember them mentioning the hops on this one. Does it say on the back? Yes, it does. Amarillo Pacifica, which is, I think, Pacific Hallertau, so a New Zealand version of a German, traditionally German hop. Citra and Summit and Apollo, so you've got some big old high alpha acid hops in there. So, beer in the glass, it's very dark. For me, it's more dark brown, very, very dark blood coloured. I mean, it's heavy crimson. I am getting a kind of like dark crimson around the edges. Actually, I'm getting a spot where the light's hitting it. The head, slightly ashy. Oh, I'm just chucking beer everywhere. Quite ashy. Oh, there we go. When you whip it around, it does generate a decent head. So let's check out the aroma. That's not bad at all, actually. There's definitely a kind of malt loaf thing going on, that kind of like saurine malt loaf, you know, like a sweet, fruity bread. There's a nice cocoa powder thing going on there. There's chocolate there, and I'm going to say this in the best possible way: cheap supermarket chocolate, own brand. I don't mind it. It's that kind of waxy, kind of cocoa heavy, and I don't mind that. There's a carbon note, kind of like my grandma used to have a coal cellar, so that kind of smell is in there, definitely. There is something that reminds me of something like Brains Black, or their stout. Definitely hiding at the back end of there. But then there is, beyond that, a nice sharp citrus, which is coming in the form of, I'd say, lemon juice, grapefruit flesh. It doesn't smell bad at all. It's got a hint of smoke as well. Maybe I'm going to once again, that carbon coal thing, maybe a hint of pipe tobacco, but not a hell of a lot. Smells pretty good actually. So let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, mate. You know what? That's pretty nice. Yeah, there's a kind of bit of carbon thing going on there. There's a hint of coffee. There's gravy granules to a certain extent. Massively drinkable. There's a prickle of hops. And the hops for me are... there's a cola thing going on. Smoky, creamy chocolate. Smoke again. And the hops coming through. And those hops are quite sharp and citrus. I'm going to say pithy lemon, maybe a hint of orange peel. But yeah, maybe a hint of melon. Relatively watery in that sense. But what I like about it, it peeks through. And maybe those kind of like dark malts are jumping through. Despite that, it's chocolate malt, and I don't like chocolate malt. I don't think chocolate malt brings the flavours that often are synonymous with kind of progressive craft brewing. I think they're often slightly dated. Like black malt, things like that, really bring a sharpness and espresso that I like in a black IPA. But the hops jump out without being excessively bitter. I'd say, I don't know where this is primarily available. I see very little of Brains beer up in Yorkshire. Bits here and there through Nicholson's pubs, but not much of these of Brains Craft Brewery beers. I think this is probably the best out of the lot I've tasted. It's very faithful to the style. It's but in its sense safe. And I mean it in the best possible way. I think it's very accessible, and if you're going to start drinking black IPA, it's a really good starting point, and you'll move on to things that are a bit more challenging and a bit more kind of aggressive, which is a great thing, but we've all got to start somewhere, and I think this is a really nice starting point in people's pursuit of that style. I wouldn't have it too cold. I've got this cold, I've had another bottle, had it a bit cold, and I thought it was a bit, I think it kind of lost something. Just below room temperature, and I think this really kind of excels. Nicely done, it's got a freshness to it. And I just burped then, and I got a nice kind of like floral thing wafting around. I think it's been really nice to produce that a bit. Very quaffable, and at 5%, that's the kind of thing you're after. So that's a bottle of Black Mountain Hoppy Black IPA, 5% ABV, from the Brains Craft Brewery, brewed in collaboration with the guys over at the Craft Beer channel on YouTube. Go and check those guys out. They're doing really nice work and reaching the general populace and making them aware of really good beer, reaching an audience that I only dream of ever kind of like reaching. I think they're doing a nice job, and so go on there, check them out, support them. You probably find me through them. I mean, they're much bigger than me. I'm just a roll from HopZine in his cellar. What can I say? Anyway, I'll see you next time. Cheers. Thanks, Johnny.